Good morning, everyone. My name is Jen Walling, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Illinois Environmental Council. And I'm proud to be here with you all today on behalf of the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition to introduce the POWER Act, nation-leading legislation that will protect our water, energy, and ratepayers from the serious harms posed by data centers. And I know you all might be thinking, weren't we just here passing a massive energy bill? And we did. The legislature responded to the looming energy affordability crisis this past fall by passing the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act, which made investments in our clean energy future that prioritize affordability and reliability for consumers and businesses. The state did its part to address big problems caused by poor regional planning and a national supply crunch. But we're back at the table again this spring because data centers have not yet done their fair share to fix this problem. Big tech corporations are lining up cash in the race to build AI data centers across Illinois, and they are ignoring the concerns of local communities and snapping up dangerously large amounts of water and energy. These energy and water-intensive facilities represent the most significant threat that we've seen to our energy grid in decades, all while polluting our air, threatening our water supply, and straining Illinois' landmark climate goals. Illinois is a top target for data center development, and without common sense guardrails in place, we will no doubt suffer the consequences of the rushed build-out of these behemoth facilities. Thankfully, Illinois knows how to respond to a crisis, largely thanks to the leadership of folks like Governor Pritzker and our climate champions in the Illinois General Assembly. We can show the rest of the country that it's possible to encourage responsible economic development while also protecting our water, energy, ratepayers, and frontline communities. Here to tell you more about how the POWER Act does just that is our Chief Senate sponsor, Senator Ram Vilivolam.
Good morning. Thank you, Jen, and thank you all for joining us today. I am State Senator Ram Vilivolam, representing the 8th State Senate District and sponsor in the Senate of this important legislation. I'm proud to be co-sponsoring this legislation or the co-lead on this with Representative Robin Gable. I have a saying in the Senate, we don't call Batman, we call Robin. And so it's great to be working with her on this. The number of data centers seen across the globe is rapidly growing to meet demand of use of artificial intelligence, cloud storage, web hosting, and general IT operations. As our world continues to turn to technology to support our everyday lives, residents are facing increasing utility prices, the centers are depleting water supplies with little to no transparency on the impact to the communities around them, in addition to exacerbating issues already facing our environment. Now is the time for us to come together and take action to address challenges our communities are facing that are posed by data centers and instill common sense guardrails to minimize their impact on our neighbors, from their utility bills to the air they breathe. Because of this, I am proud to join the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition to announce the introduction of Senate Bill 4016, or the POWER Act. This landmark legislation will protect Illinois families, communities, and natural resources from the growing impacts of data centers. Through the POWER Act, we would place prohibitions on cost shifting, introduce bring your own new clean capacity and energy Beyonce requirements, we love our acronyms, ensuring data centers power their operations with new, locally deliverable, renewable energy and battery storage. Create incentives for clean energy leadership, increase local accountability, guarantee transparent public engagement, ensure transparent reporting of water use, and implement water efficiency standards. This is not too much to ask. By establishing policies that ensure data centers, not consumers, bear the increasing energy costs and critical protections for our environment and sustainable water use, we can work towards a future built for technology to support our daily lives, not deplete our resources and price us out of our homes. We have seen that these conversations are taking place in different municipalities, and it's time for the state to step forward and act. And that's why I'm proud to sponsor this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for all of your leadership. Next up, I'd like to introduce James Geniak, Midwest Policy Director for the Climate and Energy Program at the Union of Concerned Scientists, who will share more about how the Power Act addresses energy and climate concerns.
All right. Good morning. As Jen said, I'm James Geniak with the Union of Concerned Scientists, or UCS for short. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to putting rigorous, independent science into action to develop solutions for a healthy and just future. Just last month, UCS released a report that highlights the effects of data centers' growing electricity demand on Illinois' power grid. The report, Data Center Power Play, assesses the potential costs of meeting data center load growth over the next 25 years and the consequences for climate, health, and Illinois' reliance on electricity produced in other states. The analysis is clear. Without action by the state legislature, data centers pose significant threats. Our analysis shows that, under the current policies that we modeled, data center load growth would increase electricity system costs in Illinois by $24 to $37 billion by 2050, or about 15 to 24%. These increased costs are largely due to the capital investments needed to build new generation resources. In addition, data centers are the largest driver of new demand for electricity. Based on recent trends, they could account for up to 72% of demand growth in Illinois just by 2030. Without policies that require large new data centers to secure their own clean energy resources, we face significant health and climate impacts as well. Our analysis found that data centers could be responsible for up to $2 billion more in health costs and $124 billion more in climate damages by 2050 due to increased operations of gas and coal-fired power plants. All of these numbers have real-world impacts. Without safeguards in place, an increase in electricity system costs means Illinoisans could end up paying for those on our energy bills. Such large increases in demand for electricity puts pressure on our grid reliability and results in higher costs to ensure stable supply. And data center load growth would mean more air and climate pollution, which in turn will threaten our climate goals, our communities, and our health. For all of these reasons and more, UCS supports the Power Act. The Power Act establishes policies that ensure data centers pay their fair share to protect consumers and our climate. First, this legislation makes data centers pay their own energy-related costs. If a facility needs new substations, transmission upgrades, or other grid investments to operate, they will be required to cover that cost. This policy protects consumers from subsidizing the facilities and being hit with rate hikes down the line. Second, the Power Act incentivizes new additive clean energy by requiring bring your own new clean capacity and energy supply plans from data centers in order for them to connect to always-on power from the grid. Through this framework, data centers will receive firm service in proportion to the amount of new clean capacity they actually bring to the grid. Third, the Power Act creates a race to the top by tying faster grid connection to real grid value. Data centers that bring meaningful clean energy capacity and battery storage online are rewarded with faster interconnection because they're helping the grid instead of straining it. Together, the policies in the Power Act build on prior legislative action to address rising energy costs driven by data center development and ensure these energy-intensive facilities pay their fair share. They also ensure Illinois stays on track to meet our climate goals set in the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act and reaffirmed in the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act. The Power Act is the next step needed to safeguard those climate goals while protecting consumers and promoting fairness. Let's get this done this spring. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you, James. Next, I'd like to introduce Lucy Contreras, Illinois State Program Director with Green Latinos. Lucy will share more about why environmental justice protections in the Power Act are so needed.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucy Contreras, and I'm the Illinois State Program Director for Green Latinos. We are a national network of Latino leaders working to secure clean air, clean water, and healthy environments for our communities. I'm here today not only as an advocate with Green Latinos, but as someone who grew up in an overburdened community to say, Illinois needs to pass the Power Act this spring to protect our communities from higher energy costs and environmental harm. I was born and raised in Cicero, a suburb in the southwest side of Chicago. We are a working class community, a proud immigrant community, and a community that has long borne the brunt of environmental injustice. Cicero's industrial facilities have made our air quality among the worst in Cook County, and the pollution doesn't just disappear. It settles in our lungs. Our children suffer from asthma at alarming rates. Our parents and grandparents struggle with respiratory disease and heart conditions. These are the real human costs of industrial pollution. Over the past 5 years, Illinois has passed landmark environmental legislation, including the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act and the Clean, Reliable Grid Affordability Act, which are helping move our state away from fossil fuels while putting working families, equity, and public health first. But we cannot afford to be complacent now. As new industries emerge, we must continue strengthening regulations. Major industries repeatedly target vulnerable communities like mine for large developments, and data centers are no exception. These massive facilities drive up energy costs, drain precious water resources, and worsen air pollution. Yet they are often built with little to no community input, leaving residents to shoulder the burdens while having no real say over the decisions that affect their air, water, and land. This is unacceptable. Big tech corporations cannot be allowed to cash in on the AI boom while leaving Illinois communities to pay the price. We need more than just basic protections. We need real benefits for host communities and full transparency at every step of the development process. That is what the Power Act will deliver, and that is why we must act now. This legislation protects our most vulnerable communities by requiring that no data center be built within 3 miles of an overburdened community, unless an IEPA cumulative impacts assessment proves that it won't disproportionately increase health, welfare, or other environmental risks to the community. This legislation will also help avoid one-sided development. Companies will be required to negotiate community benefits agreements with local residents, ensuring local voices shape protections and receive tangible benefits. And because negotiating with corporations requires resources, the law will also establish a dedicated fund paid for by data centers to provide communities with legal and technical support so that they can hold these data centers accountable. That is real community power and real accountability. And last but not least, the Power Act requires that data centers pay into an annual public benefits and affordability fund, which will be used to support energy affordability and environmental justice programs in communities most affected. Data centers must pay their fair share and contribute to solutions, not just bring more problems for our communities to bear. So today, I'm asking all of you, community members, local leaders, and policymakers, to stand with us, stand with communities like mine, stand with families who deserve clean air, affordable energy, and a real voice in what gets built in their neighborhoods. Support the Power Act so data centers do not come at the expense of our health, our pocketbooks, or our futures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Last but not least, I'd like to call up our friend Andrea Densham, Director of Regional Governmental Affairs with the Alliance for the Great Lakes, who will highlight how data centers impact our water supply and what the Power Act will do about it.
Thank you, Jen. For more than 50 years, the Alliance for the Great Lakes has been working to protect the most precious resources, the fresh, clean, and natural waters of the Great Lakes. Today, we stand with our colleagues here in support of the Power Act. The Great Lakes hold the world's largest supply of fresh water, but it isn't a finite resource, and it must be managed responsibly for today and for tomorrow. The demand for water in the Great Lakes region is increasing. The tremendous growth of data center industry is placing greater pressure on the Great Lakes water resources and impacted communities. Data centers disproportionately affect communities near them. Often these communities across our state that are already struggling with a lack of investment, with a lack of comprehensive water infrastructure, and with rising costs, both for energy and water costs. For example, our changing climate has the potential to amplify the water challenges in front of us. According to the Illinois State Water Survey, 6-month period from August of last year to January of this year was among the 10th driest in record in central Illinois. As we have seen with rising electricity prices across the region, data centers also affect water and wastewater rates. This act is going to work to assist us in moving forward. I also want to encourage all of you to go to the Alliance for the Great Lakes website and learn more about the important work and important impact data centers can have on water across the Great Lakes Basin. Without proper planning, management, and monitoring tools, water shortages, groundwater conflicts, and increased water prices, pollution, and contaminated aquifers are all a real risk. The region could go down a dangerous, unstable, and inefficient path that impacts water supplies, businesses, and water production. This is especially true for our groundwater, which 40% of Illinoisans rely on for their drinking water. The Power Act is a critical component and important piece of legislation to ensure sustainable water use and prevents water pollution and must be factored in when we look at future economic development, not just here in Illinois, but across the basin. No more can data centers operate in the shadows. The public is demanding sunshine and transparency. Currently, data centers are not required to disclose, track, or report water use. Without this information, communities cannot accurately plan for or anticipate demand or make informed siting decisions to ensure water availability. By ensuring standardization in reporting requirements across this emerging industry here in Illinois, we can safeguard sustainable water and protect our state's critical water supply for generations to come. It is time to prepare and plan for Illinois and the Great Lakes region to manage the competing and overlapping demands that may soon lead to more conflict over water resources, especially our groundwater. The Illinois Power Act is designed to ensure that Illinois responds to these emerging threats with data-driven solutions that keep our water accessible, manage it wisely, and prevent pollution of this vital resource. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you, Andrea. We are certainly at a crossroads, and Illinois is not alone in facing the crises posed by data centers. Folks across the country are grappling with how to manage the influx of these facilities. But we have an opportunity in front of us. Illinois can show the country, yet again, that we can prioritize climate and equity in a rapidly changing world. The Power Act does just that.